Hi, good morning. It's a Bitcoin morning brief. We have the gentleman streaming again from Consensus, getting in lots of trouble. Jimmy and Tone, how are you doing?
Hey Leon, it's good. It's good. We there was events going on over at our office, also known as Blockstream. So we had to so we had to go out onto the main floor in order to get everything done.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, obviously, especially. Yeah, no, it's not coming. It's a lot of fun.
People are realizing how tall Jimmy is.
Yeah, I am a tall person,
especially when he's standing next to Charlie Lee in the picture.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Selkis is a giant of a man. He's like 6'5", so he's a two-bit idiot if you don't know him. But he's like 6'5", and he's the one guy that's taller than me. Everyone else is, they're like, I didn't realize you were this big, Jimmy. But I'm a big guy.
All right, let's start this off before you guys.
You're joining me with a hodl hat.
Yeah, we're all hat family today. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. All right, let's start off before you guys get kicked off before the end of the stream. All right, futures exchange CME launches indexes for Ethereum. Ooh, my glasses aren't even gonna fit with this. Let's see how I can read. The second largest cryptocurrency. So simply put, the CME launched two indexes yesterday for tracking Ethereum. They're both, so the one is the Ether dollar reference rate and the other is the Ether dollar real-time index. They do not, to dispel rumors, no current plans to launch Ethereum futures, but we'll see in the future. Tone, what do you think about the initiative? And also, do you think that it may be another step away from Bitcoin and towards the alts?
It certainly looks like it, doesn't it? Now, they did say don't assume that there's going to be Ethereum futures, but what else can you assume if a futures exchange is launching an index for Ethereum? And I don't know, I think this is a slippery slope that could lead to a bunch of futures of altcoins, which is going to be bad. You know how everyone blames Wall Street for the 2008 financial crisis and how they did all of this stupid stuff? And now this is exactly where we're going to go, right? So if everyone that's holding a shitcoin now wants to make that shitcoin be legitimized by traditional Wall Street pimping your shitcoin all over, again, traditional finance, that's how this bubble will grow to unreasonable, lengths. And then when Ethereum actually collapses, whether technologically or the fact that nobody wants smart contracts, everyone will then go and blame Wall Street like it's their fault.
Jimmy, what was your take?
I mean, it's just information. I don't know why like these indices are a big deal. Like you can go look up the price of CoinMarketCap. That's what everyone else does. Who the hell cares? I don't get it. They're making a big story out of this, as if it legitimizes or something.
No, I actually think it is a big story.
Really?
I actually do think it legitimizes it because the CME is, it's not like some company that came out yesterday about crypto. I mean, they are a futures exchange and the best futures exchange in the world.
Fair enough, but like, since when in crypto do you rely on authority? I mean, you just sort of like go with whatever the order books say. I don't know. It might to a noob, but they quickly learn not to depend on authority already.
Well, no, it's not about relying on authority, right? Like, you're not gonna have traditional Wall Street players taking Ethereum or any other altcoin seriously until it has, let's say, a CME future. Like, Bitcoin is now seen significantly more credible to the traditional investor crowd now than it was 3 or 4 years ago because of those CME futures.
Tone.
Yeah, fair enough. But like, I would say that long term, none of this matters, because long term they're going to find out what's the real thing and what's fake, regardless of whether or not CME lists an index.
Well, that's true, but do you want them to find out in a 2008 style financial crisis, or do you want this thing to some smart people to tell the people at the CME that Ethereum is nothing like Bitcoin? It's an ICO based on technology that will probably not be technologically sustainable and can't scale.
Well, I wish I had a way to play out different futures and be able to decide based on that, but I don't know how either will play out. So it's very hard to say. For me,
Tone, oh, sorry, Jimmy, keep going.
No, that's it.
Tone, one last quick question. Now, I can imagine you do like indexes because it makes it easier for you to chart. Although you only are going to chart Ethereum when people obnoxiously annoy you in the live chat. Although I do think it's funny, obviously, because when you have an index, of the price of something rather than these numerous exchanges. So this is saying specifically in the story that now you have the compilation of the transaction data. They're using Kraken and Bitstamp. So you're cleaning up the data points a bit. Do you think that maybe more people are going to start trading Ethereum because of it, though?
Well, not because of that. It'll be easier to chart Ethereum, but it has not been easier to chart Bitcoin because the CME index is not actually available for me to chart with it. The CME index is not. Hey, Leah, can you? We'll get.
Hey, Felix, can you go get that guy?
Felix.
That big, the green thing, whatever.
Thing,
yeah.
Whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going down the escalator.
Oh, all right.
Grab him.
We'll get him on a live stream
get him
later.
back.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's supposed to be easier to chart stuff once there is a legitimate good index, but like that data is not free. You have to pay the CME to do it. I think I still have a futures account. I gotta link it through TradingView. Like, I wish it was easier to chart, but theoretically it should be.
You still there, guys?
Yeah, we're still there. Can you hear
All
us?
right. Yep. All right. Let's move to the next story. And again, right, just reiterating, they're trying to, I think, create a little bit of FUD around this. And to Jimmy's point, we'll see, because they're saying that it's following, the similar structure of the Bitcoin indexes, and that the Bitcoin futures were launched similarly after the index. But honestly, we shall see on that. It sounds like news right now, but I also agree with you, Tone. So Nasdaq powered cryptocurrency exchange platform to launch in June. Very simply, DX Exchange is partnering with Nasdaq to use the latter's matching engine to develop a seamless P2P crypto exchange platform, which they say is set to launch in June. Jimmy, what did you think? And is this just another exchange?
Feels like it, but I mean, obviously Nasdaq has a much better matching engine than like GDAX or some of these other places. So I'm glad the best-in-class order matching engines are coming to exchanges, because you need better liquidity in this stuff. Hopefully, the industry continues to grow as a result. I see this as a good thing. You want the best technology in this stuff instead of the crappy technology that, like, say, Mt. Gox did 5 years ago. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Tone, what do you think? And also, to your point earlier, if this will help legitimize other institutional money or financial traders?
Again, I do think this will help legitimize it, and not just legitimize it, just make it more, give it more liquidity, give it more buzz, give it more, a wider audience that's going to take Bitcoin seriously for trading purposes. And but my only real question here is, who is holding the Bitcoin, right? Like, the one question that matters in everything in this article, which I actually didn't even read, the only question that matters is who is responsible for the security of the Bitcoin. Is it going to be Nasdaq, or is it going to be the same Bitcoin exchanges? And all Nasdaq is building is a middleman company that would source Bitcoin from any exchange, will get you the lowest price. Some exchanges may be quicker to buy on. And I know ICE is already working with Blockstream to get the data, but what is actually happening here? And it's gonna be about who is responsible for the security of the crypto.
Right. I agree with that. That'll be really interesting to find out. And Jimmy, I also agree with your point. Definitely NASDAQ legitimizes, but it also means, right, like lots of regulation with your KYC, but it does open up trading. And I do think, potentially greater confidence for institutional investors. I agree with both you guys. Last point on this, if everyone's noting, it's going to list the 6 cryptos, Bitcoin, Bcash, Ethereum, Litecoin, They're trying to get up to 20 or 25 cryptos and hoping to add more tokens as time goes on. So we'll also see.
Again, I think that's stupid. Again, I think that's totally stupid, and I'll just leave it there.
Good place to leave it, Tony.
Great. All right,
I think that's stupid. That's a perfect place to leave it.
Surprised that Tom said it. No. All right, on to more finance news. So the Winklevoss brothers Bitcoin exchange adds Zcash, Litecoin, Bcash. Kind of. So on Saturday, Gemini will add support for Zcash. And it says that the New York Department of Financial Services, the NYDFS, has confirmed that they will also receive approvals for Bcash and Litecoin, but it will add support for the Zcash on Saturday. Tone, another step forward for the Winklevoss Gemini Bitcoin exchange. What do you think about this one?
Not really. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, they're an exchange, right? They're a crypto exchange inside crypto. They just want the fees. I mean, if someone does an ICO on horse manure and it's getting enough volume and they can collect a fee from that ICO, they'll probably list it, right? Like they really couldn't care less what the underlying technology is. I mean, they have a lot of Bitcoin, but clearly all this is about collecting a fee. Which is why I continue to respect the companies that stick to Bitcoin and stick to the underlying technology. If actually made a stand and said, hey, we're only going to list cryptos that were created fairly, like Bitcoin, like Litecoin, like Monero, no minor reward, sorry, no founder rewards, no
debt tax,
right, no. No pre-mining, no pre-sale of an ICO, and we're gonna stick to like the actual blockchains, then I would be more okay with it. But as they continue to add outright scams, I will continue to lose more and more respect for Winklevoss twins, who apparently were there from the beginning of Bitcoin, but have kind of lost their way.
Jimmy, are they adding manure?
Well, I don't know if they're adding manure. Tone, can you make that multi-screen? But yeah, I have a couple of pieces of data that may shed more light on this story.
Screen share.
Okay. So two pieces of data. One piece of data is that Gemini has been losing to a lot of the other exchanges. So their volumes have been going down. So this move, more or less, is an attempt at adding
because
volume.
An exchange like Binance that gets to print its own money will be significantly ahead of the Winklevoss exchange.
Well, even within the U.S.,
print their own money.
Even within the U.S., I think they're now number 4 or something like that. And I think ItBit, Coinbase, and I forget somebody else. Maybe I forget. But there are three others ahead of them. So having something like Zcash and Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin on there is an attempt at adding volume to their exchange. The other thing that I found out was that I talked to Zuko yesterday, and he told me that he actually he's been working on getting Zcash approved by the NYDFS for the last 12 months, which is crazy. They took 12 months to approve a single coin. And he was obviously very relieved. It was actually on his birthday that he got Zcash approved by the NYDFS. But the regulatory thing about NYDFS is all you need to know about the story, which is that I think they would have listed it like 12 months ago if they didn't have to get the Department of Financial Services in New York to do this. So it's kind of a delayed story. You can figure that they started this process a while ago, and it's sort of come to fruition. But you have a major disadvantage being in New York or being regulated by NYDFS.
And also, look, how many conferences and crypto-related events you've been a part of, Jimmy?
I don't know, 10, 15.
Okay, I've been at least 40 to 50.
Uh-huh.
I have never seen the Winklevoss twins. I have never seen Gemini at any of these events, right? If you don't advertise, you deserve to be 4th or 5th.
Oh, yeah. I've seen them once, I think it was like at South by Southwest.
Could you tell the difference between the two?
No, I couldn't. And
But South by Southwest is not a crypto event, right?
it really wasn't. And
you happen to live there, which helps.
and the thing about them is that they don't. They're very smart people, but they don't come off that way on stage.
Well, but again, it doesn't have to be even them, right? Like
yeah, they need a booth and stuff. They don't
Correct.
spend any money on that. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And they don't seem to advertise very much. It's kind of a weird situation. I think they go off of their celebrity on everything.
Agreed. I think it's really interesting, and for sure, you know, we've been hearing about this. I personally didn't really see this too much as new news. You know, this has been, I think, as you said, a long time in the coming. It's great that it's finally listed, but the news has been talking about it for a while. And I agree. I heard them on Bloomberg a while back when it was first being listed on CME and CBOE. And I love when they say the acronyms. They were like CBOE and SME.
Yeah, I think
Killed me.
I think they make sure they're in at least one public publication once a week.
Oh yeah. Well, that's probably where their money's
That's their
going.
PR strategy.
Well, away
Marketing,
from the
that's their
for sure, away from the SBOE. All right, so this is there with you guys. I'd be curious if you did hear this or listen to the talk yesterday. GoTenna announced yesterday that they're partnering with Samurai Wallet to launch an Android app. It's called the TX Tenna app this summer, and that's going to allow users to send Bitcoin payments without an internet connection. Jimmy, very curious as to your thoughts on this tech. Since internet connections are rarely available, unreliable, and never private, is using this technical system better than using the internet?
Hey, Leah, are they going to use the text messaging network? Like what?
Yeah. Well, how do you broadcast it?
Gentlemen, I'm quite confused about this story. I got to be honest. That's throwing it at you, Jimmy.
Oh, there's an antenna or something. Oh, that's why it's called GoTenna. Get it? Antenna.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
right. So they have some antenna, maybe that it goes through some other.
Here we go.
Yeah.
The system uses a free unlicensed radio frequency.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much power you need to make that work, but I guess they figured out some way to make it work. Great. And you could get proofs of inclusion by doing a receiving part of that. So yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know about this, and I didn't go to their panel.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be seriously field tested. It's great. Even back in 2014, I'm at a company that was doing Bitcoin transfers, somehow utilizing SMS and messaging, but that company didn't really go anywhere. I'm not really sure what their back-end technology was, but the idea was the same, like to send Bitcoin without an internet connection. We'll see if they can pull it off. Samurai Wallet seems pretty confident so far, and wish them the best.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll see. And to your point, Tone, they were even mentioning that this definitely isn't the first partnership to try to explore this potential. So at least let's hope that this one works out.
Yeah, they can utilize, they should be utilizing blockstream satellites somehow, right? As well.
I don't know if you could do it on a phone, Tom, but yeah.
Oh, too bad.
Jimmy, you made a bet. You caused some ripples. It was absolutely awesome what happened yesterday.
Amber Baldet announced her new company, and Clover, I think it was, and I didn't understand any of her presentation. It was just sort of like a lot of buzzwords thrown together. I thought that's what the audience was thinking, so I just spoke my mind when she asked me for sort of feedback on the deck. I just said it sounds like a bunch of buzzwords, and I am kind of cynical, especially on the enterprise blockchain front. And I just said, hey, you know what? I don't know if there's anything here, and my past experience tells me that there really isn't. And I hope I'm wrong, but she was a good sport about it. But I basically ended up arguing with Amber and Joe for most of it. It was a pretty active discussion. We were on for 20 minutes, and at one point Amber asked, "Hey, what do you think is going to happen with blockchain in 5 years?" Joe Lubin sarcastically said, well, it's just going to be Bitcoin 1.0 and that's it. And then he went on to say, hey, no, there's going to be all these decentralized apps and people using blockchain for all sorts of things. Well, let me ask
you, Jimmy, are we still using Internet 1.0?
Kind of, yeah. The base protocol, more or less, yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So we're still using Internet 1.0. So that was basically his argument. that, oh, and in 5 years, you're, and kind of laughing it off.
Yeah. So he said that, and then and I was like, hey, you know what? Let's look at some projects from 5 years ago. Mastercoin was in 2013. That project's gone absolutely nowhere. A lot of other
Made
altcoins.
safe.
Yeah.
It's been around for how long now?
Storage, hey,
Storage.
All of these things just haven't gone anywhere.
Even Counterparty.
Yeah, a Counterparty, Factum, whatever. None of them have any traction doing anything. So that's more or less what I predicted.
Namecoin, that was the first POS, right?
That actually had, that's first merge money.
And even Satoshi was almost optimistic about that, something similar to that.
Yeah, so
that's going nowhere.
Yeah, so a lot of these projects just go nowhere, even if they actually have a decent base. So that was my prediction, that Bitcoin would get better adoption, but almost no other blockchain project. Blockchain, as I define it, is something that's actually decentralized without a single point of failure. And Joe Lubin, right after that, said, if we can find some good way to objectively measure this, I will bet you any amount of Bitcoin that you're wrong. And now we're at this point where we're trying to negotiate what that means. I tweeted at him earlier today saying, hey, you know what, like, what sort of like decentralized world do you want to bet on? Like, where do you want to put your money? Because I really think he's wrong. And 5 years, he thinks like everyone's going to be using blockchain for everything. I don't think there's anything like that, and we're gonna have to define things in a very objective, non-gameable way. But hey, let's put it out there. Let's see. I would love to bet him Bitcoin. We'll obviously have to talk. He is much richer than I am.
And keep in mind, the reason why Joe Lubin can bet an infinite or any amount of Bitcoin that Jimmy has is because Joe Lubin was responsible for printing Ethereum for himself and the other co-founders of Ethereum, right? So this is why he's able to say on stage, I'll bet you any amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Sure, when you print your own money, it's great. You can like make any bets you like.
Yeah, so we'll see. I thought they were very good sports about it. I had a similar take last time at the McCombs blockchain conference where I basically called out all the enterprise.
Yeah, in Austin. We got to get the video from Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I think it blew out. I think what Jimmy did on stage in Austin, Texas was like 10 times better than what happened here at Consensus, because I was there live for the other one. I was a little disappointed. Oh, guys, photobombing me again.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, Danny.
At least he's not wearing a Dash shirt this time.
Yeah, I know.
Or a banner.
All right, but anyway, yeah, we wanna see how this plays out. I've been talking to some people about ways to structure the bet that's actually measurable and isn't like, sort of like you can't. Neither side can sort of weasel out of it. But yeah, let's. I basically asked Joe for his opinion. I've tweeted at him already. I haven't checked my Twitter. But yeah, he tweeted yesterday. That was fun. We'll keep in touch. Jimmy saw, and he put out a picture of the conference with us on the panel. So, I'm excited. A lot of people are excited. That was sort of the talk of Coin Center dinner and the after parties and stuff like that. A lot of people have come up to me just giving me random high fives. I think I was just basically saying what everyone's mind was at. It's just that I gave voice to their doubts and sort of, legitimatize the fact that you don't have to drink all the Kool-Aid, right? Like, you don't have to believe everything everyone says. You could be a little skeptical, and it's probably a lot more healthy to go that way than to swallow everything that they're saying on stage, especially since most of them are salespeople. Let's face it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. Guys, this is a great article in Wired that I think everybody should read. Tone, I have one last question for you.
No.
Were you front of stage cheering like a high school cheerleader? Some pom-poms?
No, actually, I thought I got in there early enough, but there weren't any seats anywhere near the front. I was in row 10. No, it was great. And to be honest with you, Amber, what's her last name? Well, I was not impressed at all.
Well, she was obviously sort of pitching her thing, and she told us before she hadn't prepared any questions for the actual panel.
Right. Well, look, but I wasn't impressed at all with like. Her
Well, I mean,
story.
I think that's what I said, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what most of the entire audience was thinking was, what the hell is this thing? Because it's just a bunch of buzzwords, and here are all our partnerships. It was all sort of like a social signal. You have to believe this, or you're an idiot kind of pitch. And I hate those pitches. I'd rather know about the tech and tell me what it is that you're freaking
Right.
building.
That's what happened with me and Kevin Harrison down in Miami. When,
Harrington, the shark, right?
Yeah, the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing. You know, he stands up there telling people they have to invest in blockchain without, and then the only companies he mentioned are ones that the ICOs that he's actually invested in.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably another video that I want to do eventually, but I think most of the time when these companies pitch sort of blockchain, 99% of what they want to do, they could just do with public key cryptography. They just don't realize that that's 30-year-old technology that they could be using. It's just not been incorporated in a lot of business processes.
Like companies don't understand, and it's funny, maybe they'll understand. It depends on which way Silicon Valley is going to go. You don't actually, if you are a company responsible for programming decentralized software, it's not actually decentralized.
Oh my God. All right. Well, yeah, absolutely. And also everybody read Jimmy's article yesterday, definitely an alignment impression for his talk. It was awesome. Jimmy, weather report.
Yeah.
Hey, so we got an explanation for this actually that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was in the Twitter.
Yeah. So apparently BitMEX only allows one withdrawal a day, and it's always at 8 a.m.
Well, right. They take in requests at any time, but they take their coins out of cold storage only once a day. And
they do one giant output or bunch of them or something like that.
So this actually could be BitMEX. They have pretty damn big volumes.
That makes sense. And that's why it always happens at 8 a.m. It looks like there have been a lot of blocks found. So,
so
fees are
try not to compete with the biggest exchange on the block for your little transaction. You may want to do it before 8 a.m. Eastern time or a couple of hours later.
Yeah, and it looks like you can get in stuff for 1 to 2 Satoshi per byte today. If you needed next block, you're definitely going to need to, go in the 10 to 20 or 30 range. But yeah, it doesn't look too bad. You can see, the mempool clearing almost every block all during the night yesterday. So. Yeah, that's about it for the weather report. I'm going to excuse myself and let Tone have the screen to himself while he does the price.
All right,
so,
you're going to take a look?
Yeah, I am.
All right, we'll get somebody. You know what?
Bye, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah, just leave that there. We're going to do the price. And after that, I'm probably going to start a brand new stream. And we're going to interview random people that are going to be walking around. Let me go to Jimmy's mic because I think it's better than mine. Hold on. I'm gonna switch mics here. Yeah, you see my setup.
It's good. It's good. Everybody, I think you already know, but there is a live stream for Consensus. So
yeah, there's like 8 of them. There's lots of live streams for Consensus. All right, here we go. Let me do screen share and then we go to the price.
Hit it.
All right, let's look at the weekly chart. So the consensus pump looks like it has ended. It was just yesterday morning, and it was only because people thought there was probably going to be a consensus pump, which I continue to say is, looking for correlation that doesn't exist. And the price is starting to pull back a little bit. The weekly chart on a red one the entire week until we rally all the way to the upside, unless we rally all the way to the upside. So this means that the weekly chart is currently in a no trade, but if you zoom out, this is clearly a bearish pattern, right? Again, if I go back to 2014 for a minute and I find that one big red candle that took place after we went back to the 30-week moving average, you can see that the following week we had a slight narrow green candle. That's exactly what I'm expecting from this week, and this candle could be green or red. It really doesn't matter. Next week actually started out as a bad week and then pulled back, closed red, one more positive week, and then disaster set in. So most likely, I am expecting a very similar scenario. I am still, like this week should be a fairly narrow week, kind of like this. Maybe too many people are busy watching the CoinDesk live stream. So this candle could be red or green. It doesn't really matter as long as it looks similar to this. And if this is how this week ends, there could be a little bit of, markets for the next couple of weeks, and then I'm expecting it to take a dip. But we'll see what happens. The daily chart is now starting to get interesting, right? It's amazing how many people tweeted at me the moment the price even touched this red line, and now all of these people have once again shut up. Because the price is not closing above this line, it continues to act as a straight up rejection. And my target for today actually was 92, 9300. And that's, I know it's still like $200 away, and we will see what happens. In order for this to actually give us a 9, we need a close below the 5 candle. That close was 84.12. So as long as Bitcoin stays above 84.12, we're gonna be price flipping. I actually see someone I want to bring in here for a quick review, even though I plan to do another live stream. But let's see if I catch his attention. Everyone enjoyed that. And so again, here's this red line. On the downside, we continue to pierce it, but not able to close below it and give us a lower low. So we're once again approaching this line. The green 2 did not go above a green 1. So there was never a bullish trade on the table using the 12-hour chart. And now we have a price flip. And if this gets us near the red line, and then we get a red 2 below a red 1, breaking this red line, the bottom could potentially drop out even earlier than the weekly chart is suggesting. The other charts look the same. Here's your minor good news, but very minor, in that the CMF is showing you some signs of investment going into Bitcoin. Which it's even higher than it was over here, but it was coming off a downtrend. So I don't think this means enough. I want to see divergence on the bottom end, not the top end. So what you're looking for, if you're a bull and you want to see divergence, you want to see the price fall to 8,000, but you want the CMF and the OBV to stay above the lows that took place on the 11th of March. So that's what you want to set up for divergence back to the upside. So we'll see if that happens. Here is the hourly chart. We were not able to get above the cloud. We did break it once. We printed a 1, never got above the 1. Continue to be rejected by the 200 period moving average. Everything is being bunched up. Once you go under the cloud, and again, I'm not an expert in the cloud. Once you go under the cloud and all resistance is above you, I don't expect anything good to happen after that. So everything kind of points down. That's pretty much it for me. If you don't have questions, I can try and grab who I wanted to get in here because he happens to be standing here, and then we'll do another round of interviews. Or you know what? Maybe I should just start a new video now and just go to interviews.
All right, Tone. Hey, last question to you.
All right, go.
People want to know, and I really don't like the name of your game, but if you're going to play Homeless or Millionaires today.
Oh, no. That's specific to San Francisco. In New York, I actually haven't seen anyone that even looks homeless here. New York is very different than San Francisco. We can play this game in San Francisco and maybe a couple of other places, but it's a little different. I haven't seen another good location for it other than San Francisco. I'll come up with maybe another game. I'll think about it.
All right, go start your new live stream. Everybody, thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, come on back in like 15 minutes. We'll be live. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.